Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Weekly English Idioms with me, Teacher Tiffany. We're going to jump right in as always and look at our 3 idioms for today. And I want you guys to follow along. Here we go. The first one. I've got to hand it to you. Once again, I've got to hand it to you. Now, this means to acknowledge when a person has been very successful or skillful. Now, this is such a useful idiom. As an American, I am aware of the fact that we use this idiom all the time. It's really another way of complimenting someone, okay? Maybe they did something or they have a skill that exceeded your expectation, okay? So let's say, for example, I meet an individual and we're talking about living overseas. And I tell them I lived in Korea for 10 years and I've traveled. And then they tell me that they've traveled to over 30 different countries and they also speak 5 languages. Well, in that situation, I could say, wow, I've got to hand it to you. You really are a world traveler. I'm acknowledging their skill or their success in being able to travel and speak more than one language, okay? All right, so let's look at the example sentences. Here we go. I mean, you've got to hand it to her. She's brought up those 3 children all on her own. Okay, now guys, brought up just means to raise. So I was brought up in Maryland. So I was raised in Maryland. All right. Okay, now next sentence. I've got to hand it to you. The company has really grown since you arrived. Again, because of this person's skill and ability, the company was able to improve and increase in sales. Okay. And finally, we have, still, you have to hand it to Sarah. She sure knows how to throw a party. Okay, so again, acknowledging that Sarah is really amazing when it comes to organizing and setting up a party. Okay, all right, let's go on to our next idiom. Here we go. It's under your nose. When something or someone is placed or in action right in front of someone else. So again, it literally means something is right in front of you or right in your field of vision. So it's impossible to miss it, okay? All right, so first example sentence, here we go. They were stealing his money right under his nose. So again, the individuals may have walked into his store and they're literally talking to him and at the same time reaching their hand and pulling money out of his pocket, okay? Right under his nose, okay? All right, next we have, my phone was stolen from right under my nose, okay? And finally, I can't believe that one of my employees was falsifying records right under my nose. Now, in this situation, you can imagine a boss or a manager who spends every single day during the week with his or her employee and talks to them and sees them as they're working around the office, and yet they still had their money stolen by the employee. So right under their nose, okay? All right, moving on to the next one we have. Keep one's head above water. Again, keep one's head above water. Now this means to stay out of trouble, especially financial difficulties. Also, keep up with work or other demands. So let's look at the example sentence. Here we go. The work is piling up, but I am managing to keep my head above water, okay? So I want you to imagine a situation. If you're swimming, right? And you're swimming and you're doing good, your head is above water. The moment your head starts to go below the water's surface, you get a bit nervous. You feel like you don't have control over the situation. So this idiom is referring to having a little bit of control. Like I'm keeping my head above water. I'm in control of the situation. Okay? All right. Now, let's look at the example sentences again. It's hard to keep your head above water on such a low salary. Okay? You need more money. And finally, we can hardly keep our head above water. Again, you can use this expression or this idiom when you're speaking about many different situations, but it's basically used when you're speaking about difficulties and trying to stay out of those difficulties. All right? Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Remember, in the comment section, I want you to make your own sentences using these 3 idioms that we learned today. I'll talk to you next time.